What is going on, everyone? Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. Hope everyone out there is having a fantastic Thanksgiving. Hope you guys are just chilling out, hanging with your loved ones, your friends, family, eating some good food, of course, and probably watching some sports, some good football going on in the NFL today. So overall, guys, I hope you all are doing well and enjoying the start of the holiday season with Thanksgiving out there. As always, guys, we appreciate you all listening to the show. You know where to find us. We're on many different streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show, guys. It's definitely important to us. It helps us know what we're doing on the show and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So as always, guys, we very much appreciate you all's support with the show. Guys, I'm glad to be here with you on today's show. This is going to be a very quick episode, of course, because I want to kind of get in and get out and let you guys enjoy Thanksgiving with your loved ones out there. But I am doing the show solo today. Chris isn't on here today with me. He's traveling to see his folks as well. So decided to let him do his thing, enjoy his loved ones. But have no fear. He did let me know some of his picks for this week that you guys maybe are curious about. So he didn't leave you guys hanging on his thoughts on today's episode. So we always appreciate that from Chris anytime he can take a little time out in his busy schedule to provide his expertise in the world of college football for you all. So yeah. But real quick show for you guys. We'll go ahead and start off with some of the top games of the week in rivalry week, week 14. So we're here last week of the season, so we got a lot of great games coming up this week for you all. So I hope you all are very excited about some of the games, because they do tie in with a little bit of what's going on with the CFP rankings, of course. Some of these games during rivalry week will start to kind of figure itself out in terms of, you know, who stacks up against who in the CFP poll. So first off, we'll go ahead and kick it off with the game down in College Station. Number 20 Texas A&M will host number 3 Texas, the Longhorns, in the showdown. A lot of people, probably the younger crowd, doesn't really too much understand or remember this game, or you know, just really understand the importance of this game in the state of Texas. For me, of course, being someone from Mississippi, I know what the Egg Bowl means. I mean, I kind of look at this rivalry similar to what I look at the Egg Bowl. It's just good old clean fashion hate between both of these schools on the gridiron. So I'm finally going to get that. We haven't had this game since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, this is going to be a great one. You know, Texas coming into a hostile environment. Kyle Field looks a lot different than it did in 2011 for sure. So yeah, this is going to be a great game, guys. Texas right now, I'm looking at the line. Texas is at a 5.5 point favorite to win this ball game. That's what Vegas has them right now. And ESPN's matchup predictor has Texas in the lead at 77.3%. So a lot of the modules, Vegas, everyone is kind of looking at Texas in terms of who's going to win this game. They look at them as being the top dogs in the end to win this football game. I tend to agree. I think Texas will win this ball game, but I don't think it will be easy because Texas A&M has a really good defense. Mike Elko, I know he's not going to, draw like a terrible game plan. Defense is his name of the game. So I do expect Texas A&M to have some life in them in this ball game. And I know what happened last week. They had that heartbreaker of a game down in Auburn, Alabama. But this is a big game for A&M. Everything is in front of them as well. If they can potentially beat Texas in this ball game, they should have an opportunity to potentially go to an SEC championship if they handle their business. So, hey, like if you're A&M, you definitely like your chances in terms of having that home field advantage and having those kinds of stakes on the line. You just gotta drop a good game plan to take care of business. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the A&M side of things. But in terms of Texas, I'm looking forward to see how Texas handles this game, because they've had these clunkers last several weeks, so of course, and people have questioned Quinn Ewers and everything. So yeah, we're definitely going to see what happens in this game for sure. But I'm pulling for Texas to win this ball game. I will say the score in the end will be, I'll say Texas 31, A&M 24. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be, this game is going to be a close game. It's going to be filled with defense and offense as well. I think both of these teams bring something to the table on both sides of the ball that can make this very interesting. So I am looking at Texas winning the ball game. 31-24 is my score. And from Chris, I'm going to go ahead and let you know what his thoughts are. He's looking at a 27-24 game, and A&M win. So he's really looking at those Aggies getting the W out in College Station, first time since 2011 against the Longhorns. Man, that will be definitely an upset for Texas. I mean, man, that would definitely be a heartbreaker if that happens down in College Station. But yeah, he's definitely leaning towards the Aggie defense controlling this ball game, and really getting Quinn Ewers to struggle. I mean, the guy that has kind of struggled off and on, and he's battled injuries this season. He's looking at the Aggies taking advantage of that. So and it'll be dependent on if Quinn plays. It seems like as I'm recording this, it seems that Quinn is kind of in position to play this week. So we'll see where that goes. But overall, those are our thoughts, Chris and my thoughts on Texas versus Texas A&M. It should be a great game indeed, guys. So be sure to look out for it. 6:30 kickoff on the SEC on ABC. So should be a fun one, guys. Moving along, we have another game that deals with an SEC opponent, but they're not going to be taking on another SEC opponent. They're going to be taking on their rival, in-state rival, Clemson. So number 12, Clemson, the Tigers host number 15, South Carolina, the Gamecocks, this weekend, 11 a.m. kickoff on ESPN. This is going to be a fun one. Clemson opens up as a 3-point favorite in this ball game. And let's look at the ESPN predictor scale. They have Clemson 57% ahead of South Carolina. So they're very bullish on Clemson, both Vegas and ESPN, in terms of winning this ball game. So for me, I gotta flip the script on Vegas and ESPN. I'm looking at South Carolina by the end of this being the top dog of this game. I mean, if you've been hiding under a rock the last several weeks, South Carolina is on fire. I don't know what happened at all after that victory over Texas A&M, but man, they've found a spark and they've held on to it ever since then. They've never looked back. So yeah, I'm looking at South Carolina in winning this ball game. I just don't see what Dabo and company have, in the tuck to beat this South Carolina team. They're peaking at the right time, and we're talking about peaking. They're number 15 right now. Like, I think 14 and 13. 14 is Ole Miss right now in the CFP rankings, as I'm recording this, and 13 is Alabama, with Clemson being 12. Can you imagine a scenario where South Carolina beats Clemson? I think they should be in the top 12 best teams of college football this year, heading into the playoffs. That's just me. Like, you can disagree with me if you want, guys, but I think South Carolina is playing some of the best football right now that they've been playing all season, and I think that will help dividends for them. So I'm looking at South Carolina in this game. I will go ahead and say South Carolina 24, Clemson 17. It's going to be a close one, but I think the Gamecocks are up for a challenge against the Tigers. I think YK Klubnik and Maffa have been playing pretty good all season. I just don't think there'll be enough, and along with the Clemson defense, will be enough to stop South Carolina in the end. I think they do have some horses on both sides of the ball that are willing to, make this a long game and potentially kind of elbow you at the end, Clemson. So I'm looking at South Carolina to win this game this Saturday. Chris's thoughts, he's looking at South Carolina 31, Clemson 24. So a little bit more offense being scored by these two teams, but not too far out of the ballpark of what I had predicted. So yeah, he's looking at the Gamecocks, clicking on offense. Of course, he said it won't be easy, for a guy like Rocket Sanders, when it comes down to, Clemson stopping them. we can talk about Rocket Sanders all season. He's been playing very good football. So yeah, he mentioned Rocket Sanders being a factor in this game that Clemson is going to have to deal with. And people have tried to deal with Rocket Sanders all season, and we've seen how that turned out. But yeah, that and just the defensive line, which we we've talked about and raved all season about with this defense. So, you got Dylan Stewart and all of those guys out there just wrecking the havoc. And if you Cade Klubnik, this might be the best defensive line you've seen all season. So, well, Dabo, hey, this is why you get paid the big bucks, bud. So, we'll see what happens in this game. But overall, I think that this game will be a fun one. It kicks off the day. So, I mean, you can't have it any more greater than that. So, it kicks off your Saturday, and you can relax, sit back, and watch top 25 matchup, top 15 matchup against these two. So with big stakes on the line, Clemson's spot in the CFP is on the line potentially in this game, and South Carolina's trying to scratch and claw for a spot. So we'll definitely see what happens, but I am very interested in seeing what happens in this game. So we'll definitely see what happens, and we'll definitely discuss it once this game ends. So should be a fun one indeed. We'll switch gears to another SEC team, guys. So number 7 Georgia hosts Georgia Tech this Friday. This is going to be an interesting game. Georgia 20-point favorite in this ball game, and ESPN has them at 89.7% to win the game this Friday. So for me, I'm kind of thinking that that's a little bit too high, but never know. I could be wrong. Vegas knows a little bit more than I do, but hey, I'm looking at this game and being a very interesting one because, man, like we've seen Georgia all season, and yet, we saw them in the Tennessee game, and man, they looked sharp. They took care of business, but I can't rule out Brent Key and Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets, they found ways all season to control their destiny in terms of having a really good season. Maybe not a college football playoff caliber season, but they've been beating people. I mean, we can say what we want to say about Florida State. That was a big win for Georgia Tech to kick off the season. And then you follow that with beating Miami, a highly ranked Miami with a really good team in Cam Ward and Restrepo and all of those guys out there, that good defense. I understand what the models are saying. They're saying Georgia has the upper hand. You got all those 4 and 5 stars. You got Kirby Smart. You got, it's just a circus, a Georgia circus down there in Athens. Look, I understand that a lot of people are looking at the Bulldogs and saying, like, look, this is the Georgia team you probably don't want to mess around with at this point of the season, as we're getting close to conference championship time, and they've already clinched their ticket to Atlanta for the SEC championship. So could Georgia Tech kind of find Georgia sleepwalking a little bit? Maybe they could. I think Georgia Tech has been playing some really good football as of late. They got a really good defense. I like what they're doing with the offense at Georgia Tech. So I'm not going to count out Georgia Tech in this game, because they've proven to us that they can beat some people when it's time to. So yeah, I won't give them the win, but I won't say that they're going to get beat by 20 plus points. I just don't have it in me. So for me, I'm going to go with Georgia 28, Georgia Tech 21 in this ball game. So I do think they're going to get close, and the game might become tied up, and they're just going to struggle to stop Georgia, and they're going to get a late touchdown to win the ball game, and that'll be it. But I do think they are definitely going to scare the pants off of Kirby Smart and company, just because they've been playing some really good football. They're not quite there yet on a week-to-week basis to beat everyone that they need to beat, but I do think that this team is capable of getting Georgia off of their rockers, and if they can do that, I think they'll be fine. So we'll see what happens. Chris, let's see what Chris has to say. Chris is looking at this game being Georgia 21, Georgia Tech 20. So by a point. Chris is giving them a point in this game to beat the Yellow Jackets. So that's definitely funny, Chris. But it's not too far away from what pretty much I've been saying about this game. I just think Georgia Tech is going to give the Bulldogs a game that they're really going to have to scratch and claw to win at the end of the day, even if it is in Athens. So, we'll see. But Chris is pretty much saying the same thing. It's going to be a hard-nosed football game in the end. It's going to be a lot of defensive plays that factor into this game. So, Tech possibly is going to win the time of possession. I do believe that as well. And yeah, the Georgia defense is most likely going to come up big. And yeah, I think that could be a scenario where Georgia's just going to lean into their defense, and just like we saw all of those Alabama defenses years ago with Kirby Smart, and like that defense is just gonna lean and ground and pound and knock you down in the end. And we've seen that from Kirby Smart led Georgia team these last several years. And I think when it comes down to this game, you're just gonna see more of the same of that. So be ready, Georgia Tech, but guess I don't need to tell you that. So I'm sure Brent Key and company, his staff there are leaning heavy into telling their guys that. So overall, that's our thoughts about that game. Should be a fun one. 6:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. So yeah. And lastly, we'll talk about our last featured game of the week in rivalry week. I have to that's a tongue twister. Have to get that one out. But the LSU Tigers hosting the Oklahoma Sooners. Yeah, guys. None of these teams are ranked. They're not going to any playoffs. But I think me and Chris had to pick this game because it's a hilarious SEC game that's going to end the year. I mean, look, we all know about the 2004 year, of course. These two actually went to the national championship and played each other. So who knows what's going to happen in this game, guys. Oklahoma, for all their struggles offensively, still don't know how they beat Alabama. But they beat them. But for all of OU's struggles through the offense, and then you look at LSU, for all of their struggles with their offense. Man, who's gonna score more points than who? This is a weird ball game, guys. That's what piques my interest about this game is like who's gonna have the upper edge. I'm leaning towards Oklahoma because it feels like LSU is just kind of like limping in. I know there's probably some guys on that team that's just like, it is what it is at this point. Like how motivated are you to even play this game? I'm interested in knowing. Like I don't know what to expect from LSU. And I think I know a little bit what they expect from Oklahoma. I think they're going to lean into Jackson Arnold, with his legs, a little bit of passing, for what it's worth, but mainly with the running attack with OU and what they can do with that. They're going to utilize that to get LSU kind of off their rockers a little bit. I think they are. I think it's their biggest weapon right now. And I'm just gonna have to say it. I think OU wins this ball game because they're just gonna have a little bit more in the tank than LSU in the end. I don't know what to expect from Garrett Nussmeier and company. I really don't. Yeah, you beat Vandy 24-17, but OU has a better defense than Vandy. I promise you that. Are you ready for it? So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. What is the line in this game? So Vegas has LSU as a 6-point favorite in this game. ESPN's matchup predictor, LSU 59.1%. So this definitely has everything to do with this game being in Death Valley instead of Norman. So I'm still gonna kind of hang my hat on OU winning this ball game. I think they're going to show up as they always do with their defense. They're going to lean into that and try to win mainly by making some defensive stops, trying to hold time possession as much as they can, and run the football if they can, air it out when possible to hopefully try to get LSU on their toes and trying to think twice or three times ultimately for them to take advantage of that and win the ball game. So I'm going to say Oklahoma wins this game. It's going to be an ugly one. I'm going to say Oklahoma 20, LSU 17. I think both of these teams are going to be filling each other out until probably like mid third quarter, and we'll get a couple scores by both teams, and I think Oklahoma potentially will win this game by a field goal and get out of Death Valley with the W. So interesting game in Baton Rouge. Can't wait to see it. 6 p.m. game on ESPN 1. Let's look at what Chris has to say. He's looking at the Tigers winning this game 23-20. So he's looking at this game to be just a field goal to give the Tigers the W down there in Baton Rouge. So that's also funny as well. And he mentions that it's going to be an ugly game. Oh, look, me and Chris are on the same wavelength, folks. So I think this is going to be an ugly game just because, man, these two, They've had their struggles all season. Something gotta give. Something has to give. And hey, look, we're gonna find out coming up this Saturday. So should be a fun one indeed. And yeah, we'll definitely see what happens in this game. But yeah, that's our picks for this week and some of our top featured games for you all. Before we do head out of here, Chris does have his top picks this week in Bolton's bets. So yeah, kicking it off with Bolton's bets, guys. You know what it is when we're having Bolton's bets. If you want to make some money, you want to make a little extra change, of course, you want to hit that parlay for the week, Chris has you covered on some of the top games that he's picked in order to, put that Black Friday money in your pocket for the week. So, first game Chris has is Indiana and Purdue. Indiana, 29-point favorite. Think that they will cover against Purdue. Purdue's a bad football team. Don't have to reiterate that to anyone. So, overall, he's looking at Purdue to get stumped by Indiana. And I am too. I think Indiana, they got embarrassed last week against Ohio State. They're looking to, go out and, return the favor on some people, slap some guys around after, get embarrassed. I don't want to get embarrassed like that. So definitely look at Indiana covering in this ball game heavily to beat Purdue. So next game that Chris has, Oregon State versus Boise State. Oregon State is a 19-point underdog versus the Broncos. So they're Oregon State. I haven't watched much of them, but according to Chris, I know he's kind of delved a little bit here and there with Oregon State. They are a sneaky football team at the end of the day, but Boise State, which they haven't been dominating, it's it's kind of funny to see how they've kind of lost steam. And I mean, Gianti, he's still balling, but if I had to take a Gianti within this season, which one would I take? First half Gianti, second half Gianti. I'm taking first half Gianti all the way. I think the guy is just a natural runner. Still is right now, but maybe not so much of him as much as the rest of the team. It seems like the tank is on E at this point. They've given their all at this point. So, and they're just trying to see if they can get into a college football playoff berth, which I think they will. So yeah, Chris was pretty much saying that watch out for Boise and just how the way they play. They haven't really been beating people down, so that may actually help into Oregon State's favor. So look for them not to cover, Boise State not to cover this week in that ball game. And lastly, on Bolton's bets, Michigan versus Ohio State, the game. Look, Ohio State, I think they're personally going to Riverdance on Michigan. It's not going to be pretty. If you're a Wolverine fan, look the other way. Just please look the other way. Look at Michigan State. Do something. Just don't look at what's about to happen to you coming up. So yeah. Overall, Ohio State. Michigan is a 20-point underdog in this game. Look, if Michigan, and I'm looking at what Chris is saying, Michigan has an opportunity, he says, to make this into an ugly game. I'm gonna say this: if they do that, man, if I'm Sharon Moore, I'm going into those offices like, hey, can you pay me a little bit more money? Look, I got you. I got you, Bryce Underwood. You know, I made it. I made the Ohio State faithful sweat a little bit. Come on now, you know, put a little extra zeros, you know, put a little bit more cash in my pocket. That's what he should say. But yeah, if they can do that, that'll be big. So, you know, overall, Chris is looking at Michigan pretty much making this a game against Ohio State, you know. So it's looking at Ohio State potentially not covering in this game. That'll be big. So watch out for that. Watch out for those pesky Wolverines. You know, they've had a rough season all year, but that might bode well if you look at Ohio State's season all year, and kind of how they've had these big games where they've ran away with it and some of these clunkers. So, Chris is definitely looking at that. So look out for that. And yeah, that is pretty much Bolton's bets for week 14, rivalry week, guys. So yeah, man, if you want to make some extra cash, of course, and we're heading towards the holidays and everything, so you know that's what you want to do. Make a little extra cash for yourself, get some nice Christmas presents. Yeah, you gotta listen to Bolton's bets, where Chris gives you the rundown on some of the top games for the week that you can definitely look out for. So yeah, but yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for me on today's show. Like I said, Chris would have been here, of course, but we want Chris to enjoy his family just like you guys out there are enjoying your families as well. So as always, guys, we very much appreciate you all listening to the show. If you want to find Chris and I on social media, you can find Chris on Twitter, Chris_Bolton_12. He's on there talking college football. The NBA is going on right now, the whole nine. So be sure to follow him on there, and you can also follow him on Instagram as well, Chris.Bolton_ also. So yeah, he'll definitely chop it up with you on any one of those applications. For me, you can find me on X at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling. So yeah, definitely follow me on there. But guys, that's the show for today. Like I said, real quick get in, get out show for you all. So I hope you all out there enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving. Hang out with your loved ones and just enjoy the day and the whole weekend also as well. So this is one of those times where we all kind of get together as a family when you can, to be with your loved ones. So I hope everyone out there is doing that, just like I will be as well. So and Chris also. So guys, we very much appreciate you guys' support. We may not have a proper show. We'll see what happens, but we're looking potentially at doing a few Twitter spaces before Saturday's slate of games, and we'll see what happens, whether we do an actual proper rundown on the week that was in rivalry week. But if we don't, we'll most likely do Twitter spaces, just to kind of sit down, kind of, talk about the week that was. So just be on the lookout for that. But yeah, guys, until next time, I'm Kory Willis. And for my good friend and co-host, Chris Bolton, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your weekend. We'll definitely hear y'all later on. So take care, guys.